We've completed another decade of King, which means it's time for another ranking. Here is my countdown of Noughts King. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Dave Musson, at Dave Musson on Instagram, and this is the place where I talk Stephen King. Usually I give you 19 reasons to read every single one of his books, but occasionally I go through some specials, and this video is one of those specials. Because last time out with Under the Dome, I reached the end of the noughts. That means it's time for me to count down my ranking of Noughts King. Now, as with my previous decade rankings, this is not an attempt to be a definitive list, this is my list. So let me know what you think of my choices and let me know your favourites from the noughts in the comments below. And one last thing before we get into counting down these 15 books, this is spoiler free, so you can watch all the way to the end, okay? Let's do this. Coming in at 15, Black House. Now, I feel like I've said enough on this channel about how little I like Black House. I like it more than The Talisman, but that's about it. There are some good scenes, some great scenes in this, but ultimately I hate all of the cast and I don't give a shit about what happens. At 14, Cell. If the first 30 pages of this had been a short story and stayed at a short story, it would have been one of his best. As a full novel, no thanks. At 13, Blaze. The final Bachman book, at least for now, is fine. Like, it's got a good story, it's got a bit of heart to it, but that's about it. So at 12, Dreamcatcher. Now, I actually have a lot of time for Dreamcatcher, and it's gone up my list a couple of places since rereading it. And I know how important this was to King's recovery as well. Again, there are some really, really good parts of this, particularly the stuff around the friendships in here, but so much of it is just off the rails and crazy that I can't really justify putting it any higher in my list. At 11, Wolves of the Calla, the 5th Dark Tower series. Some great set pieces and some crazy backstory as well, but ultimately too many annoying accents and too many twattish robots. At 10, The Colorado Kid. I really like this story, really like it a lot, but ultimately it's just that little bit too lightweight to go any higher in my list. Great front cover though. At 9, Song of Susanna, the 6th Dark Tower book. Really well paced, full of action, generally a lot of fun, and does a great job of teeing up number 8, The Dark Tower, the 7th Dark Tower book, the finale of King's career-defining epic quest, and something that, to be honest, I wouldn't change a bit of. By the way, if you'd like my overall Dark Tower ranking, you can check that out here. So at 7, From a Buick 8. It's overlooked, underappreciated, but actually really good. Yeah, fucking weird and frustrating at times as well, but really good. At 6, Just After Sunset. A cracking collection of stories that a lot of people, myself included at times, quite literally just forget exists, which is a shame because actually it's really quite enjoyable. At 5, Under the Dome. Actual 70s King transplanted to the noughts. This one is batshit crazy, full of horrible characters, 100 miles an hour writing, and just wild stuff. At 4, On Writing. Is it the best book about writing out there? Certainly the best I've ever read. At 3, Everything's Eventual. Another stellar collection of short stories, and there isn't a bad one in the bunch. And some nice Dark Tower connections in here as well. At 2, Do McKee. Technically speaking, it's going to be his best book of the decade, and it's so close to being my favourite as well. Great cast of characters, great scares and unbelievable tension throughout this book. It is fantastic. At number 1 is Lisey's story. Yeah, it's my favourite, baby love. It's a wonderful musing on love and marriage while also being creepy, terrifying, heartbreaking, life-affirming, and a bit fucking weird all at the same time. It is just a wonderful book, even with all that nonsense talk between Scott and Lisey. Yes, even with that, you dirty smuckers. Okay, there we go, my ranking of Noughts King. Let me know your favourites from this decade in the comments below. If you enjoyed that, then do stick around, there's loads more on my channel for you to explore. There's rankings of other decades and there's 19 reasons to read individual books as well. Have a look, see what you enjoy, and maybe click subscribe so you don't miss anything else in the future. And if you want to come and chat King at any time on Instagram, I'm at Dave Musson, always happy to hear from you. Next up, well, we've got yet another decade to go into. So join me for that.